I, 36 male, met my wife, 33 female, 4 years ago and got blindsided by her blatant and unapologetic infidelity. Just like every relationship, we had highs and lows, but I never imagined that the lows were that low. We got married 2 years ago and things were blissful. We both worked in the same work industry but at separate companies. I was a manager and she was just coming up, and it would not be acceptable to work together as per company rules, because we worked at separate companies and nearly an hour away. I never believed cheating would occur because things had been so good at home. I could be working for 12 hours and come home to dinner, sex, and all the things anyone would love to come home to after a long day. Not to say I didn't do the same, because I always did. One of the things I loved to do was to bring her favorite flowers every week on my ride home. She gushed every time I came through the door with them, and more so when they opened up to display their full color. Nearly a year into the relationship, we began to argue, but it was nothing more than simple misunderstandings. Although I was concerned, I also attributed it to some of our money issues. She hadn't been making as much, and although I was the primary breadwinner, what I made didn't always afford us the luxuries we had loved to engage in months prior. I always told her things would get better, and they certainly did. I got a raise and so did she. However, the arguments didn't subside the way I had imagined they would. Fast forward to March 2020 and the pandemic put us both on our backs financially. I qualified for assistance and promptly took it to make sure we'd have the essentials. She, however, did not qualify and was understandably upset about it, and when some other companies outside of our industry were hiring, she went for it and got a job. I, at the time, was collecting close to what I was making pre-pandemic weekly, and we discussed it would not be advisable to go and look for a job that would essentially put me backwards career-wise. This meant I would stay home and help out while she worked, and with both incomes we'd be just fine. Prior to her getting the job, and during, I supported her by making sure she had her paperwork filled out. I got up early and helped her get her lunch, sometimes showed up to her job to take her out to lunch, and took care of most of the other duties around the house she wouldn't always have time for. Little did I know that her sudden happiness had nothing to do with just finding a job and get back to a much more stable financial status. From what trickle truth she gave me, the affair started almost as soon as she got the job in May and continued until I went back to work in August, leaving the home unattended. In November, I became aware of the affair when I came home one day to grab something I forgot and found the door chained when I got home. When she finally came to the door, I found a bath drawn with candles lit and her wrapped in a towel. The chained door was very unusual and sent me into high suspicion because we lived in a secured building that needed a key fob or a code to enter. I began to look around and noticed a shadow behind the bed showing on a nearby mirror. I yelled out for him to stand up and face me, and for the first time, I realized the guy that was cheating with my wife I had met when I picked her up from work so many times. My wife formally introduced me to him, and at that very moment I felt sick to my stomach. He promptly left and I just sat there feeling stupid. I asked why, and her response was to get angry at me for finding out, and when pressed further, told me she felt a connection. From there, I knew I needed to get out and mistakenly never had an exit strategy. Due to COVID, my funds were severely depleted and moving out was not an option yet. So I had to brave it for the next 2 months before I would be able to move. By far the most numbing time frame I've ever dealt with. We slept in separate parts of the home and carried on like roommates. I wanted to be civil, not for her but for my own peace of mind. That, however, was not to be, as I found out she had become pregnant as a result of the cheating, and I only tore the wound back open, and I really began to feel like life couldn't get any worse. She also continued to flaunt the relationship in front of me, and I made going to work agonizing knowing what was likely going on when I was not home. Even worse, when I moved out she refused to pay the rent, and I kept getting notices about it from the management company. In January, I moved out and started to save money for a lawyer and sought therapy. I should note that she never believed I'd file, and I made sure not to let on that I would. It bought me plenty of time to consult a lawyer who went over all the details and originally wanted me to file for divorce but later decided that an annulment would be better. The lawyer also drafted letters to ensure I would not be on the hook for the lease, and paperwork with the IRS to have our tax debt split. We filed in at the end of May, 1 year after when I believe the affair began. Since then, it's come to light that she may have been involved with more than one affair partner, and when I say more than one, I mean 3+ suspected. As of the 1 week ago, we had her served at work because it had also come to my attention that she had moved out of the apartment and surrendered the keys. Got an email from the management company. Now I wait, as she has 35 days to respond before it goes into default and the decree is issued. I will update later as more news comes to light. Thanks for reading. Pi caught my wife cheating the past 4 days. I caught my wife cheating for the past 4 days. Suspected for months, finally confirmed. She went to the guy's house today for an hour and 20 minutes. I won't go into details because they are too painful right now. I meet with a lawyer tomorrow. I plan on filing for divorce. We have 4 kids together and a stepdaughter I have raised since 4. I feel so bad for my kids, but she has pied at every turn and only tried to make me out as the bad guy for suspecting her. I am a good father and a great husband. I just don't understand why this is happening. I am 4 years younger than her, in great shape, and have always been there for her. Why do people do this? I hope my children will be all right. I am confused because I am still madly in love with my wife. I have been on top of my husband game, even reading books and carrying out the advice. Why is there such cruelty in this world? I have been reading this forum for days now and have to say thank you to all the kind souls that give great advice here. This forum has been a huge help. Thank you in advance for giving a shit. Update. I filed for divorce today and then cleaned out the bank accounts. I left $100 in our joint checking. She thought I was out of town for work and went over to his house again. Pi got that too. She had no clue. Afterwards I asked her if she was ready to be honest. She said about what? I told her the affair. She never cried. She was just sorry that she got caught. She told me she felt like he was her friend and that they only had sex twice. Such a liar. I recorded the convo after that where she admitted to it again. She got angry when I told her I want half of the house. She threatened to do things I won't like if I insist on that. I told her I loved her and would still be there for her. She didn't care, only about the house. This is a fucked up world. She gave me some details like that they started talking at the Little League fields. Edit 2. So since telling her I know she has turned my 4 kids against me, telling them that dad is a little heartbroken and is mad, so he is taking it out on baseball. That's why he left. Edit 3. I just told my 2 older sons what happened over dinner. It seems as if my wife has spent the past week normalizing cheating on her husband to the kids. They just shrugged it off after listening. I hope I made the right call. I also told the boys that their mom is very dishonest and that I think it is sick that she is still bringing them to Little League Baseball. 3/16/21. EDIV. I have my 2 daughters tonight at my mom's. I was advised not to tell them about stuff. My 9-year-old daughter looks very sad. About to take them for ice cream. Their mom had them at the Little League baseball fields for all afternoon after she left the kids at home so she could spend the morning with her boyfriend. She has no shame and is sorry, not at all. What a sick human being. She hasn't contacted me at all besides texting me the bills, which I didn't respond to. Life sucks and I don't think I will ever love a woman again.